Welcome back, ladies and gents, and I'm here with a new series of videos, The Weapon in Sights. I want to talk about weapons in Witchfire that are somewhat underperforming, overperforming, receive love or hate, or should generally speaking be worth a closer look. And please keep in mind, these are my thoughts and insights, it's my very personal opinion, and you can perceive the weapon completely different. That is totally fine, so please leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. The scenario will more or less be the same. I'm going to run the Wailing Tower because it has a perfect mixture of density, close and long range fights, as well as a challenging boss fight. I'm trying to pick the best arcana possible for the given weapon, and of course I will try to pick the most suitable gear as well. Today we are going to talk about the All-Seeing Eye. I received a little bit of criticism for my Steam release video because I said pick Shadow as your starting class, because it comes with ASE, and ASE is a decent weapon. But is it, or was it, but isn't anymore? In version 0.1, ASE was a very good weapon in my opinion, and had good mobility, it packed a punch, and the density on Scarlet Coast was good enough to make the AoE capabilities of ASE stand out. Side note here, there was no Island of the Damned or Wailing Tower up until version 0.3, so a few things might have changed. That being said, ASE is a crowd control or AoE weapon. It's not a single target killer, just as Hunger is. Well, did you pay attention to the fight in the background? Did you see that I was not able to trigger the M3 of All-Seeing Eye even once? Well, let's have a look at the Mysteriums. The first Mysterium is the most important stat of the gun. You can deal increased damage to enemies above 75% health. If you are able to land a critical hit, the gun will trigger a radial shockwave and it will damage all enemies inside the shockwave. And then, if the enemy is also above 75%, the shockwave will apply decay. This will be indicated by a green aurora around the enemy. And please, let's now pay attention to the Madman, and let's jump into the fight again and see how it's done properly and what the AoE capabilities of All-Seeing Eye actually are. So as you can see, it's not the head that I'm shooting at, but the torso or the arm. The red glowing area of the Madman is the weak spot, not the head. And please pay attention how the enemies usually get hits and damage ticks when I'm able to land a critical hit and trigger the shockwave. And this is what actually makes All-Seeing Eye so strong. But in order to make it work, you need density. You need enemies inside the shockwave of the gun. And this is more or less a big problem. It works very well here in the tower, but it doesn't necessarily work on the Island of the Damned because there is so much space and so few enemies. But it also works then again on Coast and on Iron Gate Castle. So we will see if this is enough. So let's choose the Corrupted Arcana. I go with the Demonic Weapon because I'm going to use ASE all the way, or almost all the way. And let's head down to Tower Level 2. So we will have a close range fight just at the beginning, but then it will usually be mid-range to long-range fights. And the most important enemy will be the Cleric at the end of the phase, or at the end of the level. So let's go from sigil to sigil so that we can clear the map. I was a little bit caught by surprise by that one. I didn't have a reload ready and nothing else, so I got quite the hits. And yeah, since I was focusing on the enemies, I got also a few ranged hits here, but it's totally fine. So I'm just waiting for this cyst to grow, and then I will shoot the cyst for increased damage of the explosion. And now it's up or down to the last sigil. And here you can start to see the problem I got already with ACE. It has great AoE capabilities, but as soon as you zerk down a few enemies and you don't have density, you will start to struggle with the gun. The initial shot on an enemy is 100 damage, and after the initial shot it will drop down to 50 damage per critical hit. If you're not hitting a critical hit, it will go down to 38 damage. And that means if you damaged a few enemies, and let's say you damaged them with an AoE, and they drop below 75%, you are left with a more or less dulled down ASE, because you're only working with the M1 and M2 Arcana. The M3 Arcana is not triggerable anymore. You cannot trigger M3 if any enemy or if the enemies are below 75%. Like in this case. I started with the cross, then I put the cyst, I waited for the cyst to explode, and I was not able to trigger any DK and increased damage anymore. So this rendered me more or less useless with this gun. Maybe the rotation was bad, maybe I should have shot on the 75% enemies first, let the cyst grow, and then go for the rest of the AoE damage. But sometimes you just mess up, or you're in a bad situation and you cannot hit your hits, the shots, like you're supposed to. And this is why I would still say it's a good weapon, but it's very, very situational. And you can see it here again. The enemies are below 75%, and I'm not able to trigger their shockwaves or the increased damage anymore. It's a little bit frustrating, and it just prolongs the fights. And prolonged fights without AoE will really, really take a toll on your ammunition. So the best thing that you can do is carry additional ammunition with you, but is that how it's supposed to be? Like, do you need to bring ammunition into your fights? Is that how the game is intended to be played? I'm not quite sure. It is an issue with the sniper rifles as well, but at least the sniper rifles deal a shitload of damage. And here you are rendered with 50 damage as a critical hit. I don't know. Alright, so we got stage 3 cleared as well. We can now go down to the boss fight, and here you will see the real problem of the all-seeing eye. See, I was left with only 30 bullets in the reserve, so I had to use one of the ammunition packs that I brought. And yeah, let's go over the last or the remaining Arcana, and now go down to the boss fight and see how the all-seeing eye deals with the phases of the Prophet. Alright, I'm not quite sure, please pay attention, I'm not quite sure if this is intentional or if it's a bug. I set down the cross and I shoot the weak spot, I get the damage number, I shoot the weak spot of the Prophet, but I don't trigger the M3. Not a good play here by me, to be honest. Alright, now, please remember, I'm quite high in my level. I think this is a, what was it, 102 or something. So, my spell recharge is quite high. What do you do if you cannot recharge your spells as fast as I do right now? you will have even less AoE and even less damage with the gun. Okay, next phase. Still, the monks are pretty far apart from each other, so I have to set down the cross and rely on the AoE damage of Blight Cyst. It's not a thing that I can do, or not too many things that I can do with the ACE. This is another situation. The enemies are quite packed, but I still rely on the explosion damage of the cyst, and now the issue is the same again. You are left with an actual M2 weapon, and you have to shoot a lot of bullets onto the single target enemy. Yeah, of course, you could switch to Hunger, for example, or maybe to Hangfire, or the other weapon that you brought. Doesn't really matter. So you will have to switch weapons quite often, because you want to deal AoE damage with All-Seeing Eye and single target damage with Hunger or any other single target damage weapon. That is totally fine, but why would I then even bring ASE to the fight if I can instead pick Hangfire, which does incredible AoE damage as well as even more crazy single target damage. So we already fought the boss for quite some time now, and I'm pretty sure with any other weapon he would already be dead. I mean, we can stop the time maybe and compare it at the end. I didn't plan to do so, but maybe it's a good idea. Maybe one of you can do it and write it down in the comments. But right now I just felt like, nope, I'm gonna switch to Hangfire and give him a shot and end the phase again. Because, did you see the health bar drop when I switched to All-Seeing Eye? I just lost it at that point and thought, no, I'm not gonna continue with ASE. But then, alright, sad. It's about ASE, let's see what it's capable. It's not about Hangfire right now. We all know what Hangfire can do. So, again, low ammo. I need to pick another ammo pack from my inventory so that I'm able to finish the fight. As I said at the very beginning, it's not a single target gun. But even then, Blight Cyst does the same for me. I can apply decay with Blight Cyst. I don't need to apply decay with ASE. And the explosion is still fire, even though I'm not using ASE. Alright, last phase of the boss. Now we have even less density, no more monks, only the Prophet and a few of his minions. Alright, right now we got him staggered, but I don't think the stagger came from ASE, but it came from the damage from Blight Cyst and Iron Cross. And now I'm just zerging him down, 100 damage at a time. That could have been way better. So what's my verdict? I think ASE needs a little bit of love. There should be a damage increase on the weapon. The weapon should stagger much faster. The single target decay bug should be fixed. And the threshold, this is the most important thing. The threshold for decay should be lowered or even completely removed. Maybe do increased damage against 55% and shockwaves over 55%, but the crits should always apply decay so that the weapon gets a better use. Now it's up to you. Please write down in the comments below which weapon I should showcase next. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and as always, have a good one.